Particularly bad last night during playoff games in New York and Philadelphia. A New York fan appeared to spit at Trae Young, the ultimate sign of disrespect, and a Philly fan dumped popcorn on an injured Russell Westbrook.
They wouldn't come up, the guy went on the street and pour popcorn on my head. You know what happened? The guy wouldn't come up to me, talking about my kids, family on the street, because the response to be different. In these arenas, you got to start protecting the players, man. You know, we'll see what the NBA does.
All right. LeBron James echoing that sentiment, tweeting this. By the way, we as the players want to see who threw that popcorn on Russ. There's cameras everywhere. While he was leaving the game tonight with an injury, there are cameras all over arenas, so there's no excuse. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, hashtag protect our players. Stephen A.
Yeah.
How should the NBA respond to this?
They should come down incredibly harsh on that fan. They should ban him at least for the entire 2021-2022 season. That's a first offense. A second offense, he should be banned for life. We can't tolerate this. Russell Westbrook is absolutely right. LeBron James is 1,000% right, especially with the point that what if it were the other way around? What if the shoe was on the other foot? He's absolutely positively on the money. Let's call it what it is. Russell Westbrook, we're not condoning violence. We're not advocating it by any stretch of the imagination. But if Russell Westbrook had been able to get to that dude and put his hands on him, I'm sorry. Would he have not been justified? I think he would have been. Again, we're not advocating that because obviously, that brings a whole different connotation to the equation. But nevertheless, that's the point that we're talking to here. The fact that people feel that they can do anything they want. The primary reason they feel that way is because they don't have to worry about any repercussions, any ramifications for literally throwing something on another player, putting your, figuratively speaking, putting your hands on them, because that's essentially what you did by throwing something on them. You have no right to do that. You can boo all you want to, but you have no right to do that. We've seen these kind of actions before. We've seen the woman in Atlanta going after LeBron James. We've seen the older white individual sticking up both middle fingers at Russell Westbrook. At the New York Knicks game last night, I had no idea until this morning somebody actually spit over 50 Cent sitting courtside and spit on Trae Young. That is inexcusable.
Still in a pandemic. We're still in a pandemic.
Now that person should be arrested. That person right there should be arrested. Make no mistake about it. So the NBA definitely needs to come down heavily on them. But I think the media can also get involved in policing this kind of situation with this. Put the person's name on television. Put their face on television. Treat it like a mugshot. Put them on a jumbotron at the game. Make sure you embarrass and humiliate and publicize who the hell they are. Shame them, just like you would do a player. If a player did something like this, they'd be plastered all over the media. They'd be plastered all over television and the like. How come we can't do that to the fans that engage in such insidious behavior? Publicize them, humiliate them, embarrass them, shame them, and in some cases, arrest them and put them in jail.
Look,
I'm all for it.
Look, you keep talking about what the arena should do. Just because you buy a ticket to a sporting event doesn't mean as you enter the arena, you exit civilization. You still exist in civilization. And laws of civility, like rules and then actual laws of civility, are there for everybody. Now, Russell Westbrook is talking about what would happen in the street if he came up to him and dumped popcorn on him. Stephen A., I see that as no different than putting your hands on somebody. You can't violate somebody like that physically. Middle finger, to me, that's a gray area. I don't know. I have to think about that. But you physically assault somebody, popcorn is light and everything, stop. But if he smacked that dude in the face, that wouldn't cause any permanent damage either, right? So Russell Westbrook's talking about what would happen in the street. But let me tell you what should happen in the street if we behave like adults. Get arrested. You can't because that's physically violating somebody. No, I forget about just like what the sporting or what the arena should do. Westbrook should press charges. There should be some kind of criminal consequence. Mike Tyson touched on this when he said what you alluded to, Stephen A., and he was talking about the media. You know why the media talks wild sometimes? Because no one gets punched in the mouth, right? And with social media, that involves just basically practically the whole world. But there are consequences like that, realistically, what's going to happen if you violate somebody. And then there's also what should happen. You spit on somebody and you do it in public. There are cameras, as LeBron said. Put the cameras on them. Find out who it is. There should be a consequence. You dump something on someone's head. There should be a consequence for that, too. A ticket to an arena is not an exit from civilization. And by the way, those laws of civility are there to protect people who need them, right? In other words, the dude who dumps the popcorn, I'll bet you if Westbrook came at him, he'd be looking for someone to enforce the rules of civility then.
Let me get in here for a second, because the other thing that irks me is have a little class. The man is injured. He's playing his heart out. It's a playoff game, and you're dumping popcorn on him. And as far as arrest, if it's simple assault for throwing something at somebody once, so he should be arrested with the popcorn, and it's battery for spitting on someone. So they both should be arrested. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. Why is it always white guys to black men? It makes me uncomfortable, and I hate seeing it. And it's continuing to happen. When all these instances, when we're going back to white guys with black men, and it's just not okay.
Well, it's definitely not okay, and I think, what Max was alluding to, and my man Champ just texted me about a few minutes ago, I'm going to modify my position just a touch. One and you're done. You should be banned from NBA arenas. I think that's what Max is saying to some degree. Listening to you, Molly, I think that's where you're coming from, outside of obviously being arrested. And the more I think about it, you know what? No second chance. Because, again, in a civilized society, we actually do know better already. And the fact that you're doing it is only because you think you can. Now, when Mike Tyson talks about, media people and, because they can't get punched in the face, I want to be clear. Mike Tyson is talking about people who calling you out your name and doing some of the things that they would never do. He's not talking about people critiquing his fight game and whether or not he'd lose to Lennox Lewis or Roy Jones or somebody. He's talking about that excessive stuff that people engage in outside of the ring, and he's absolutely right about that. And I think that these players, you got too many people that can be sensitive, and their definition of people coming at them is people criticizing their game, and that's ridiculous, which is something I'll get into later. But I will tell you that as it pertains to this particular instance,
that way. Mike Tyson back then, Stephen A., who was, will even tell you now was, not stable back then, understood it okay. Most athletes get it, even if they don't like it, they're bitter about criticism or anything. They're not taking it to the next level. It's the fans who are doing it. The fans think it's okay to assault athletes.
It's not okay.
And Molly's point is a very interesting one.
Yeah. You see the optics, you see the visuals. Again, simple assault for throwing something, battery for spitting at someone. And I'm sorry, that is the ultimate sign of disrespect. Don't do that to anybody. Grow up. We'll leave it there. Still to come, Perk actually predicted the Wizards would win last night. Yikes, he joins the show to face the music. Stephen A. brings all those receipts. Can Carson Wentz return to the good Carson Wentz this season in Indy? Remember Pennsylvania, Max? The guys debate whether a bounce-back season is in store for the former Eagles QB. That is next.